Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So this is Crusty Rusty. He's been in hundreds of videos on this channel, and as you can see, this thing has been, it definitely shows that it's been used a lot. And I don't know if you can tell, but right here in the corner, you can see my finger through the hole there. It's starting to rust through. It's actually already rusted through a couple years ago, but Tom from Tom's Gold Dirt actually sent me a couple tubes of JB Weld, and I just kind of mixed it up and smeared it all over the bottom of it here. But it held up for a couple years, but now we again have some more holes coming through. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean up Crusty Rusty the best we can. We're going to repair the holes and make it so that we can continue using Crusty Rusty, because this is the real star of the show. It's definitely not me. So what we're going to use is this stuff here. We're going to try this Evapo Rust. I saw a lot of reviews about this stuff online, so I went ahead and purchased 2 things of it. So hopefully we can submerge this thing overnight to see how well it removes the rust. And then after that, we're going to probably just coat it in epoxy to make sure it doesn't rust in the future. So first thing we need to do, we need to submerge Crusty Rusty in some of this Evapo Rust stuff. So let's go ahead and do that. I don't know if these 2 small containers are actually gonna do it, but if it doesn't, we can get as much as we can and then flip Crusty Rusty over like this and then soak it for another additional night. Let's go ahead and just dump this stuff on there. It says this stuff can take 30 minutes to work or up to 24 hours. So we'll just let it soak overnight, I think. Yeah, we're not going to be able to cover too much of it. But another thing about this stuff is it's actually reusable. So there's no waste. Basically, when I'm done with this, I'll just pour it off back into the containers and we'll have it for other things. I'm not sure if it would work on old coins or anything. But like the old way to remove rust would be like, you know, steel wool and WD-40 or like an ultrasonic cleaner. But we'll see how this stuff works. All right, we'll come back in 24 hours and see what happens. All right, it's been 24 hours and let's take a look at this thing. But yeah, you can see how dark this solvent has turned overnight. It still looks rusty to me. Let's go ahead and try to wipe some of that off. See if it shines. I would doubt it, but it's worth a try. I mean, it's definitely cleaning it up, but it's nowhere near like shiny or anything. All right, so I just rinsed this thing off with the hose, and I have not seen actual metal on Crusty Rusty for 6 years, something like that. Right there, it's actually working. And I think I'm gonna let it soak again, because you can see as I rub this, it's bringing up some brown. You can see around the edge here where it was soaking, that's how deep it was. It's actually smooth metal right there. That's awesome. So yeah, I'm just gonna let it soak again, and we'll see it again in another 24 hours or so. All right, so I had Crusty Rusty soaking like that overnight, and now I'm just gonna go rinse it off outside. And the water, rinsing it off, really makes a big difference. So take a look at this. Look at that. I don't know if you could tell, but I haven't seen Crusty Rusty look like that in a very long time. So we're going to keep soaking it until we get the whole thing at least that good. All right, so I went ahead and let it soak like this, like this, like this, all the way around. And you can actually see that this stuff does work pretty well. I obviously have to soak it for a couple more nights on different angles, especially this one here. On the back though, this is the JB Weld and it's starting to peel a little bit. I don't want to peel it off if I don't have to, because we're going to end up pretty much putting this thing in epoxy and then making this whole bottom just solid. But yeah, you can see an obvious difference here. Also, that hole is pretty big and this rust remover stuff isn't helping the hole at all. So we have a solution for that. What I'm going to do is, once this thing is to a point where I think I have most of the rust off of it, I'm going to go ahead and just submerge it in epoxy and try to flatten the bottom out at the same time. And then, yes, may I help you? What, do you want attention? All right, guys, this is good enough for Crusty Rusty. The more I use that rust remover stuff, the more holes and things and more deterioration that happens in the corners. And even right in the bottom, there's a hole somewhere here in the middle. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna seal this whole thing up. I've got some epoxy, got it mixed up here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pour that into this mold. Hopefully that's enough. If not, we can pour some more. But when I put Crusty Rusty in there, it's gonna displace some of that. Let's make sure it's in all the corners especially. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna clamp this down, and I'm expecting epoxy to come through the holes here. See that? So I'm just gonna get some clamps on here, clamp it down, and let it cure for, I think this stuff takes like 72 hours. So what I may do is brush a light coat of epoxy all the way around the surface. That way it's kind of sealed, and yeah, that should do it. All right, so I've got this thing clamped down as flat as possible. That way all the corners are evenly touching the bottom, and we know that there's epoxy underneath. So when we take this out, the bottom should be level, and there's still a little bit of flex in there, but not too much. And now, right now, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna pour this epoxy in here. This is a smaller batch of clear epoxy. And I'm just gonna brush that all over the surface in here. And that's gonna seal any kind of little holes that I know we have up along the sides. It's gonna prevent rust. So of all the different things that I can think of to restore Crusty Rusty back to its not only original form, but even better, I can't think of a better way to do so. Just basically cover the whole thing with epoxy and just seal the whole thing up. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up, and then next time you guys see it, it should be done. So I'm pretty darn happy with this so far. I didn't think it would clean up as nice as it did. Also, this epoxy is gonna level out the bottom of the pan itself here, like the base of it, because it's all gonna self-level. So this will be awesome. You guys will see it in a minute. It'll be about 72 hours for me. All right, so I just took it out of clamps. I basically just had this board across it like this, clamping down on both sides to keep this thing flat, because the bottom was kind of warped. So I wanted to flatten the bottom out perfectly. And now I just need to pull this thing out of here. And it is epoxied in there on this non-stick tape. So let's see if it comes out. I think we got it. I just have to straighten this part back out. Crusty Rusty isn't very This thing isn't very thick to begin with. It's actually pretty thin metal. I could kind of just reshape it with my fingers. But yeah, it came right out of there. So there it is. Crusty Rusty should now be rust proof and last many more years to come. I even put a little shovel and pick in there for just for fun. It's just sitting in the epoxy. So yeah, that works. Now all I have to do is just clean up these edges and everything, but that's pretty much it. The good news is there's still some rust in there. It's still a little bit crusty, and it's just gonna last a lot longer. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you liked it, let me know, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching. And since everybody's been asking, yes, we now have Crusty Rusty t-shirts in different colors. You can get hoodies and other things. Just in case you're interested, I will put a link down in the description.